dead.
The skull's gone wild! I've seen your power. You are combined with Antichrist. Will you confess yourself?
I say you are pulling heaven down and raising up a whore. I say God is dead!
Do we have a spicy full day of news for you. By the way, happy Monday, March 22nd. Big week for the quartering. I'll be on Tim Pool's show twice this week. I'll let you know the days on that as it gets closer. And just a huge shout out to all of you who have been so supportive. If you're seeing this video and you haven't yet subscribed, please do consider allowing me to earn your subscription today. There's a red subscribe button down below. And, you may not think it matters, but in terms of the search algorithm, YouTube likes to see when channels get engagement. Now, over the weekend, a op was exposed by some excellent teamwork, not just Data Racer, but some other people behind the scenes. I don't know if they want to be public yet, but here's a 30,000-foot view. There is a long article that comes out and smears everyone from, me to Geeks and Gamers to Jack Posobiec to Tim Pool. It is full of data, but the data doesn't actually prove what they had hoped. Essentially, they called everyone alt-right and, terrible things, made hilarious claims about, how much money people earn. None of this data was fact-based. But for whatever reason, the article had picked up an enormous amount of interest. Hundreds of retweets from a relatively irrelevant small podcast run by two people which no one had heard of. We now know one of them works for a company that is directly connected with Disney, but I don't believe that this is Disney funded. This is actually the mental illness known as Rayloism, and we're going to get into everything there. So essentially, this blog post comes out. The people that hate anyone who didn't like The Last Jedi starts retweeting it, picking it up, using it to actively deplatform people. There's one YouTuber in particular that has seemed to be the target of this blog post and their continuous activities. They've already gotten one of their videos taken down and looks like perhaps a second one. I'm going to share with you the evidence. I'm going to explain how it's all connected, and then we're going to have a good laugh together. So over the weekend, data started coming out. So there was this blog post, right? With, you've seen it. I didn't want to cover this because I felt like it was, giving it more clout, but it just won't go away. So I'm going to once and for all destroy any and all credibility that these weirdos may have garnered. So they put together like a 70,000 word essay about how if you've ever criticized Star Wars, you're an alt-right bad person. And they put together these, look at all this garbage. Look at, here they have this, it goes from Steve Bannon to Shapiro to Dave Rubin, then to Jack Posobiec, Jordan Peterson, and then Paul Joseph Watson, and then the quartering. What are these red circles around everybody's names? Spread hate against Lucasfilm employees and the Star Wars trilogy. Oh my God. If you didn't like the Disney Star Wars trilogy, that's spreading hate. So when I saw this, man, I remember when I had more hair. That was nice. I saw this, I knew that these people were delusional, right? So work began to figure out who are these people. There were some ideas going around that they were like some PR firm that was hired by Lucasfilm, which would have made a little bit of sense because essentially they put out this smear piece and then it was getting a ton of interest, hundreds of thousands of views on their video, and really no reason for it. No actual following, nothing interesting to say, and just bad data analysis on top of that. But nonetheless, it persisted. So we started digging around a little bit. Now, this operation took them 4 months to put together, and took us about 4 days to figure out exactly who was behind it and completely destroy it. So Data Racer put out a nice little thread here talking about rewriting Ripley. Aided by the analysis of over 1 million tweets, 1,000 YouTube videos, this is the full story of the alt-right radicalization of the Star Wars fandom. Again, I can't speak for everyone else. I'm fairly certain, people like Geeks and Gamers would not consider themselves alt-right. I'm certainly not, but they do this anyway, right? So this nobody blog post actually gets YouTube to take down a fellow YouTuber's video by taking a clip completely out of context. The clip was a sarcastic response. Out of context, that sounded terrible, but all you had to do was rewind 10 seconds and it all made sense. But Team YouTube didn't care. They removed the video for, I don't know, hate or something like that, something ridiculous, right? Team YouTube replies and then gets the job done. Now, the most important fact you need to know, by the way, if you haven't left a like, please do. This will exonerate everybody in the report, and I hope that we can spread this. So there's an account called Informal Majesty, all right? This same account also tweets for rewriting Ripley. And the same account, whom, of course, I won't say their name, but we know who they are. We know who they, what their connection to Disney is. You see here, rewriting Ripley, aided by the analysis of over 1 million tweets, 1,000 YouTube videos, blah, 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 right? Here's Informal Majesty. Anyway, Valkyrie Art and I will be discussing this in a few weeks, backed by 1 million tweets, 1,000 YouTube videos. Okay, so now, just so we're all on the same page, smash like if we're on the same page. Informal Majesty is the same person that is Katie, who also runs the Rewriting Ripley Twitter account, okay? She outed herself eventually. We'll see. So, you see here, we just arrived at the powder room in LA. By the way, this Valkyrie Art person has now changed their @ after being exposed. I, of course, know their new @ and I'm archiving everything. So, again, Informal Majesty is rewriting Ripley. Hey, we're trying to get EVS off YouTube. YouTube is currently paying attention. Please report this video in the screenshot. If you click into the video, you can add more details. Here's the timestamp, or you can follow with the steps below. This is a literal harassment campaign. Now take down the entire channel. So you can see Informal Majesty here running this campaign to deplatform somebody they don't like. Again, you could see Informal Majesty is just not in the right mental space, saying, I have only mentally allowed myself to break from Star Wars for about a week, realizing the damage the fandom has done to my psyche. It's been interesting. It's really insanely toxic and depressing. Blah, blah, blah. So this person is just not in a good mindset. How did this person get to be where they are? How does Star Wars staff get involved? Well, back in January, Michelle Buchman, whatever, I don't care. She is the social media manager for Star Wars, saying, hey, Twitter, do I have any academics that follow me who are experts in fandom, blah, 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 right? Looking for some data. What happens? Informal Majesty, who put her real name here, Katie, replying, gets introduced to the social media manager for Star Wars. Hi, Michelle, happy to talk. Really appreciate everything. Blah, blah, blah. Followed you if you want to DM me. So they are connected and working behind the scenes. Hey, really appreciate the shout out. I'm definitely not an academic, just a data analyst. That's right. For a company that produces a very huge franchise for Marvel. So there's been pretty recent data analysis. So we make the connection there, right? Here is Katie Informal Majesty, who has now changed her picture and name to try and hide that. Too bad. We already know. This is the same person who wrote an article that was going after Data Racer about a year ago. All right. Then from this, we can now see several, high-profile people following the Rewriting Ripley podcast, including Lucasfilm employee Pablo Hidalgo. So we have connections between, now just because they follow him doesn't mean they work with them or anything like that. But we can see the person who runs Rewriting Ripley has direct DM access and has openly had conversations with the social media manager for Star Wars. We also know that the far left-leaning Lucasfilm employee Pablo Hidalgo follows their Twitter account. Okay, so to summarize, because I could go on forever about this, Rewriting Ripley is the same person as Informal Majesty, same person as Katie. This person works for a company directly associated with Disney, but I have found no evidence to find that this is Disney funded. This is just an extracurricular activity by somebody who is, in my opinion, in a bad mental space. You can see Data Racer pointing out here. Last year, Katie wrote her first Star Wars hit piece about me. It had 10,000 retweets and 50,000 likes. Dozens of Lucasfilm employees shared it. Bethany Licinia covered it for the Washington Post, lying about my posts on Twitter. Delete your name when you write hit pieces about me. Katie. Of course, if you go to this piece, which is still live, her name is in the freaking URL of the hit piece, for crying out loud. Okay, I mean, I don't really know. This person went out and tried to say they were doxxed. Obviously, that's not the case. They put their own information out there. I don't care, right? My goal here is to protect my fellow YouTubers from slander and libelous statements, and to out what is clearly a lame op that is not actually gaining any organic response. Who's really boosting this? Well, it's a lot of these weirdos who shall remain unnamed, who have been essentially harassing people in the Fandom Menace for years. One of them wears a blue wig. The other one has like SJW literally in their title. They're losers, all right? They've been obsessed with this for years. They've all been muted or blocked by me for a long time. It's about 500 to 1,000 people. But the thing is, when you coordinate with these people, you can get a lot of, tweet activity from people. You can even see they have like a troll account that, is engaging with stuff. And, here you can see you acknowledge that this month-old false flag sock account that's been trying to inflame the recent Star Wars drama violated your rules, but you leave them up. You can see when you get your month-old sock puppet account that shows up during a controversy and starts making threats, because you could see this is Lone Star Legend responding to Rewriting Ripley, issuing a veiled threat, I would say. But then this very same person is saying, please DM me. I have multiple screenshots of being physically, all this over the last 24 hours because I'm a woman and I'm a feminist in my bio. This is just a troll at best. And at worst, they can't even keep their sock puppet accounts correct. So they both issued a statement, they went after Rewriting Ripley and then they pretended to try and defend Rewriting Ripley. There is a huge series of sock accounts that are artificially boosting this. And then you have this person, Jenny Nicholson. I have no idea who they are, but they have 200,000 Twitter followers, and they are followed by far left-leaning weirdos. This guy just made a video saying he wanted to line up and end Asians. That's not true at all. That's just incorrect. That's using an out of context statement. YouTube removed only the video in question. Here's another rant about ending Ray Fisher. That's not really what he said. What does it take for Team YouTube to remove a channel? This has 700 retweets, 5,000 likes. I'm sure Team YouTube's in the replies. And of course, people push back. And how does Jenny Nicholson handle that? Well, by blocking everybody. These people they're not interested in facts. They see people that don't like Star Wars as these political enemies that must be destroyed. These are people that are far left leaning, but for whatever reason are obsessed with obsessed with shilling for corporations, which seems really odd to me. And then you had this weirdo from the Mary Sue, for example, saying that, boosting this as well. I think they might have blocked me now, but essentially the Mary Sue was posting, "Oh my God, this is great work. Everyone has to get together and signal boost this." This is an astroturfed operation, meaning it is inorganic growth. It's run by it's run by two people who are connected with a small anti-Phantom Menace culture. Please do not interact with these people. Do not bother paying any attention to them, because there's no point. They're not real. Now, journalists are grabbing onto this because they want to take down anybody who makes fun of their precious Star Wars. But ultimately, this is... Whoa, what happened here? Oh, why is it showing up blocked? So yeah, they can't even keep their sock accounts right. This is a total astroturfed op. Stay out of it. Here you see, journalist supports two people who lie, impersonate other people, and smear folks who didn't like the Star Wars movie. This is somebody who then blocked me after getting blown completely out, but they are an editor for the Mary Sue, tweeting, you won't see this because it's blocked, "We all have to stand with and support rewriting Ripley for doing amazing work," calling out the BS. Her replies were completely destroyed by people bringing actual logic, and her response was to block it all. I hope now that I have made it clear that this is a bologna sausage op, it should be ignored and laughed at. If you haven't yet, please do click that subscribe button on the video. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk to you again real soon.